Welcome. My name is Don Davis. I'm the editor-in-chief at Internet Retailer, and I'll be moderating today's discussion. We'll be discussing best practices in business-to-business e-commerce with some practitioners. This is a hot topic as a growing number of manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors are focusing more and more on selling and marketing online, and in many cases moving significant business to the web. But it's still a new field for many companies, and for many of them, they're still figuring it out. Our speakers today will include two companies selling to businesses online and a technology provider. You'll be hearing from Tony DiCostanzo, president of book wholesaler BookPal, whose primary customers are corporations, nonprofits, school districts, and government agencies. Jessica Wetzel, e-commerce manager at School Health Corporation, which provides health supplies and services to schools. And Ben Presley, head of the Customer Success Group and Enterprise Strategy at Magento, a provider of e-commerce software for companies that sell online both to consumers and to businesses, and the sponsor of today's webinar. You can ask questions at any time using the chat box on your screen. We'll take them at the end. And you will all get an email the next day or two with a link to today's presentation that you can share with colleagues. Before I turn this over to Ben, I'd like to take a couple minutes to set the stage for our discussion. The first thing to know about B2B commerce is that it's big and growing steadily. According to estimates by Forrester Research, it's more than double the size of U.S. online retailing, at least in dollars spent. Forrester projects B2B commerce in the U.S. will total $780 billion this year, while online retail sales in the U.S. are trending to come in at less than half of that, around $350 billion. And I can tell you from our own research that Internet Retailer is right now doing, B2B e-commerce may well be much bigger. It depends on how you define it, but there's lots of ways in which companies are selling via the web to other companies and organizations, and by some estimates, it could be as high as $2 trillion just this year. Even using the Forrester estimates, the compound annual growth rate during this period is 8.6%, which is pretty healthy. While Internet Retailer started out covering online retailing, as our name suggests, for the last couple of years we've also been reporting on B2B commerce, and we're expanding our coverage in a big way this year. We started with our B2B commerce newsletter, B2B EC News, which we've now been publishing weekly for a year and a half. This week it became twice weekly, and we will continue to be providing newsletter on every Tuesday and Friday from now on. You can sign up for a free subscription at the URL listed here or by going to b2becommerceworld.com. And that's our second announcement about expanding our B2B coverage. We have just launched this month a website dedicated solely to B2B e-commerce. It's called b2becommerceworld.com. It'll be providing daily news updates on how companies like yours are selling online. And the third thing we're doing this fall is bringing out our first rankings of manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors selling online based on their online sales. Some of you may know that Internet Retailers have been publishing for years our top 500 rankings of online retailers. Now we'll be doing the same for business-to-business sellers. We expect to publish our B2B 300 in November. And if you would like your company included in this guide and get credit for the groundbreaking work you're no doubt doing in e-commerce, please contact us at the email address above. As you can see, it's b2bresearch@verticalwebmedia.com. As part of our coverage, we've been carefully following some online B2B sellers that are publicly traded. Here's a summary of recent data from three of the big ones, Grainger, MSC Industrial Supply, and United Stationers. As you can see, their online sales are growing and becoming a very significant part of their business. So what's causing this growth? I'm sure we'll hear from our panelists about what's causing their growth, but just for a couple points from a recent Forrester survey, it's mainly driven by the customers of manufacturers, wholesalers, and distributors. They shop online for themselves as consumers, and they expect to be able to shop online when they're at work. Here are two data points from this recent Forrester survey of 45 B2B online sellers. Forrester asked them in this question if customers who migrate from buying just offline to buying online are more likely to try new products. 38% said yes, and only 20% said no. Forrester also asked whether these customers who migrate online spend more. Again, 38% said yes, but in this case, only 9% said no. There were a lot more responses like this, but you get the point. Your customers want to shop online, and they'll buy more if you make it easy for them. The question is how best to do it, given all the complexities of selling online to businesses and other large organizations, such as government agencies, universities, school systems, and nonprofits. And that's what our speakers will be addressing today from their own experience. Again, our speakers will be Tony DiCostanzo, President of book wholesaler BookPal, Jessica Wetzel, E-commerce Manager at School Health Corporation, and Ben Presley, Head of the Customer Success Group and Enterprise Strategy at Magento. Remember, you can ask questions at any time. We'll take them at the end. And everyone on the call will get an email the next day or two with instructions on how to obtain today's slides. The format of today's presentation is going to be a discussion about best practices in B2B e-commerce, led by Ben Presley of Magento. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to Ben.
Great. Thank you very much, Don. It is a pleasure to be with everyone this afternoon and or this morning for those of you out on the West Coast. We, like internet retailers, see a surge of interest and activity in B2B e-commerce. As we talk to our customers, as we take note of what's happening in the market, we see that over half of B2B buyers will be making their purchases online in the next 2 years. And so the question to everyone here on the phone today is your business ready? And so I'm grateful to have some wonderful panelists to help us address how to get your business ready to take advantage of the trends here in the market. So I'd like to start by asking Tony and Jessica to introduce themselves in a little bit more detail. So we'll start with you, Tony.
Yeah, I appreciate it, Ben. BookPal was essentially founded about 10 years ago to service the business and government needs of book buyers. So essentially, we're not that different from an Amazon or Barnes & Noble from a product line standpoint. We offer about 3 million different titles. How we differentiate ourselves by servicing the wholesale segment of the industry is that we provide tiered discounting. So customers can start out with as few as 25 copies of the same title and literally have bought tens of thousands from us. And as a global provider, we've really opened up the book buying market to companies and provided cost savings over some of the more consumer-oriented brands that are out there like Amazon and Barnes by typically saving buyers 20 to 40% on their purchase. Through that tiered discounting model. Like mentioned earlier, our primary customer segments are school districts, corporations, and government agencies, primarily buying for classroom utilization, leadership development programs, and initiatives like that.
Great. And Jessica?
Hi, everybody. Thanks, Brad. School Health is a nationwide distributor of health and medical supplies with a primary focus on providing these supplies to schools. So we have 4 primary markets within a school system that we tailor our products and services for. And those are health services personnel such as school nurses, sports medicine practitioners such as athletic trainers, special educators including speech pathologists, and then early childhood programs for ensuring children meet certain developmental milestones. And so the products we offer are a mix of straightforward replenishable items like exam gloves and bandages, and then also complex, sometimes life-saving medical devices. So I consider our website to be a hybrid. It has to be able to not only drive revenue through an optimized online shopping process, but also be able to capture leads for our sales team to close sales on those higher cost devices that schools wouldn't typically just buy outright online. They would research the product online first and then have to go through a more advanced procurement process because of the high cost. So they might have to go and get special approval from the Board of Ed, for instance. And so then we have the same challenges that most B2Bs have, such as managing special contracts, accepting purchase orders online, and then because our customers are coming back and buying from us year after year, we have to be able to build long-lasting relationships with our customers online. So we have to make sure that we're always delivering consistently easy interactions, insightful content, a lot of, a wide selection of products, and make sure they keep coming back to us. And we are on Magento Enterprise to help us do this.
Well, thank you very much, Jessica and Tony. So I think everybody here on the phone today is here to learn 10 tips to boost their B2B shopping experience. And we are going to share those 10 tips by the end of the webinar here today. But I'm going to start by digging into a few categories of activity where we see merchants having success in delivering better B2B experiences. And the first place that I want to start today is with personalizing the shopping experience. We know that today's B2B buyers expect a higher standard in terms of having a personalized shopping experience. So, Tony, I want to start with you and ask, what are you doing at BookPal to deliver that personalized shopping experience?
Yeah, absolutely. We were really excited just recently, I guess 3 or 4 months ago, we launched a new redesign of our navigation system. And I think there'll be some common themes through this discussion today, mostly around the idea of giving B2B buyers a consumer-like experience in terms of the comparisons of the Nordstroms and consumer-branded sites. What we're doing is seeing, as a retailer on the wholesale B2B side, a mirroring of some of the same trends. And so one of those was pretty obvious in hindsight, but when we launched the store a couple of years ago, it was less clear, and that was to define our main navigation around various customer groups rather than product groups. And so the big initiative was about taking the various products that we have on our catalog, which was unfortunately from a consumer standpoint hundreds of thousands of SKUs, and rearranging those so that they really mirrored the various customers visiting our website. We took a look at best practices in the consumer space, and using stores in the clothing industry as a great model, we recognized that a B2B buyer was looking to get from point A on the home page to the product they were looking for with as few clicks as possible. So we took our books, broke them out by business customers versus education customers, religious groups, government agencies, and allowed them to browse the products that they were specifically looking for very quickly. To enhance that even further, as part of that same initiative, we restructured our site search, and what that encompassed was working with a third-party partner named Unboxed, which was really exciting to find because they provide a very simple-to-use Amazon-like experience. So as customers typed in book titles, it actually made strategic recommendations based on data they were collecting on page views and sales data to identify the most likely product that customer was looking for, and hopefully save even additional time from going from a search experience to a search results page. They could simply click on the product within the search box itself and go straight to that product page. So it's really the theme there is about simplifying the purchase experience, and both of those initiatives have been very successful for us.
Tony, that's funny that you bring that up. School Health, at School Health, we're actually going through a similar process where we are recategorizing our site to make it more customer-centric, like you said, and we're breaking it out by the different markets that I described to make it easier for customers to find the relevant products that they need. So I appreciate that work effort. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work, yes. Well worth it in the end.
Yes, yes.
And I'll add to that from a Magento perspective, as we interact with merchants of all shapes and sizes in the market, navigation and search is one of the top things that separate the sites that end users feel are convenient to use versus ones that are not. So I think that's a great one to start off with as a top tip. Jessica, what are some of the things that you're focused on to improve the personalization of the shopping experience?
Well, there's 2 things we are working on, and the first thing is account personalization, and so let me tell you what I mean by that. Schools, just like most B2Bs, have many end users and approvers in the buying process. So what we have done is built custom landing pages, and in some cases, even tailored product categories for key accounts where we have been awarded their contract And these pages are very personalized for the customer, for the account. So when a customer logs into the site with their school email address, the website recognizes that they're from that school district, and they are directed to a landing page that says, welcome ABC School, here's your sales rep contact information, and then we also include any other directions or messages that the school district wants to provide to their users, kind of like their own district message board where they could put a reminder such as here's the proper PO number format, or whatever they wanted to say to their end users. And this just makes the cost, it benefits us because it makes the cost to switch suppliers higher on their end, because once all of their end users get used to this way of shopping, having to train them all on a new website is pretty unappealing, especially if there's a large number, of those end users. The second thing I wanted to mention as far as personalized shopping goes is how we also offer, in conjunction with those landing pages, tailored dynamic pricing. So again, with the school districts, they are government entities, and we deal a lot with formal contracts and bids. So once a school has formally awarded us their business, these key accounts where they have formally awarded us their business, we are able to trigger their contract pricing when they log in with their school email address. And this provides many benefits. For school health, we are moving customers to a more cost-effective channel for purchasing. And like Don mentioned before, we see higher order averages online. So it's beneficial for us to move more of our customers online. But for the customer, it's a lot more convenient because they can just log into the website, see their contract pricing, and build orders. And you think about how they would do it before they could see it online, they're just using spreadsheets with item numbers and pricing. You really don't get the same experience as being able to look at a product page, get a product description, an image, see your contract price, and use all those tools online, such as you could share your supplies with your supervisor. And then also it reduces calls to our call center because customers would used to have to call and say, what is my quoted pricing again? And now they can just go online and see it. So it saves everybody a lot of time, which is a win-win.
Yeah, that sounds like a great initiative. We are actually working on a similar thing for contract pricing for the federal government that requires, from a GSA standpoint, that they receive most favorable pricing, and so that typically means discounted pricing to what other customers pay. And as a result, we're working on a similar initiative to allow government customers to log in and then see their preferred pricing. I'd actually like to add one other element that I think is making a difference in personalized shopping, and again, this is a borrow from the consumer space, which is product merchandising. I know one of the webinar viewers commented on the fact that the search company I mentioned might have been a little hard to understand. The company's name was Unboxed, UNBXD, and the reason that they're relevant is they actually provide a secondary service for us that allows for merchandising on the website. So using the search data, the purchase data that they're collecting for that experience on the search end, they're also serving product recommendations on various products, or various product pages, as well as category landing pages that provide a widget that allows us to say, people that purchase this also purchase these products, or people also viewed. And so it's a really nice add-on for the browsing experience of our B2B customers, that they can match up similar titles that other customers in schools, for example, high school, might have viewed Romeo and Juliet, and now they're looking for To Kill a Mockingbird, and here's the version that's most popular. So we've seen some really positive outcomes from adding that functionality to the website recently.
Tony,
you brought that up.
Yeah.
Because I'm glad you brought that up, because as we interact with a lot of B2B merchants, they see this as one of the areas of lowest hanging fruit, if you will, that their buyers are accustomed to this sort of product recommendation sort of experience from their B2C online shopping experience, but by and large you're not getting it from most of the companies that they interact with on a B2B basis. And so this is an enormous opportunity in the market. Jessica, you were going to add something?
Yeah, I was actually curious, Tony, this is something we have thought about as well, and was wondering if you could share the level of effort required to move forward with that type of feature.
Yeah, from a developmental standpoint, the process was actually surprisingly easy. There's a lot of extensibility that Magento Enterprise provides developers through the API, through extension add-ons, and so this Unbox organization had actually developed a really robust extension for Magento that allowed us to get up to speed on that functionality fairly easily. The one component that, of course, they can't accelerate is data collection. And so when you think about that initial flipping of the switch to add this functionality, there's, of course, a learning curve that the database goes through as it collects search data, as it collects purchase data. So hopefully, what we're seeing continues as a trend, but the results become closer and closer to the best possible results for that viewer, for that shopping experience. And so, on day one, of course, there's limited data in the database to make recommendations, so they attempt to go mostly off of sales history data, which is available. But then the search data and browsing data becomes collected over time and adds to the accuracy of those recommendations.
So thank you for that. And I think we could talk a lot more about how to optimize the personalization of the shopping experience. But there's a second area of focus for improving the B2B shopping experience that I want to touch on, and that is providing convenient self-service features. So I want to start with you, Tony. What are some of the things that you're doing at BookPal to provide convenience and self-service to your customers?
Well, I think one of the key issues that our customers were experiencing is because it's a bulk transaction, it's not as simple as just pulling up a product page and seeing that a single book, for in the case of our example, a single book costs $12. They're buying, in some cases, hundreds or even thousands of those copies for a district-wide or company-wide initiative. And so usually within any organization, they're working with a budget. So one of the unique things that we added to the website was on each product page in real time, it highlights not only the column of pricing that applies to the quantity that they're purchasing, but takes it a step further and dynamically provides that customer with the subtotal of that number of units. And so before they even have to go to the cart, they can sort of work within a budget number to dial in the exact price point. And then, from a value add, we can also highlight, hey, for 5 more copies, you'll actually be able to drop your price even further. And so that's been a really great and well-received add-on to our sites to make that process a little bit more convenient.
At School Health, we've been, offering some of the standard tools. We have the ability for them to order by item number. If the purchasing person just has a list of item numbers that an end user gave them, they can, just enter those in and build their cart that way. We have the supply list where they can, save supply, their favorite products to a supply list, and then they can share that with a supervisor or even save their cart to a PDF and bring that to their supervisor face-to-face if they don't want to email. But we do have an aggressive roadmap plan. We've heard it a lot from our customers that they're looking to get limited SKUs available. So we were talking about that contract where the school district might have certain items that are approved and on contract, and they've been saying that they want to have their end users only shop the items that are on contract. And so that's something that's on our roadmap to make it easier for school districts to use our online shop as well.
Yeah, I mean, and adding to that, one of the key elements that we see not wanting to be a roadblock on is reorders. Within our customer groups, whether it's a school classroom or a corporation, there's typically titles that get adopted for those organizations that they have an ongoing use for. If it's a leadership training program, those managers attend a class and the books are given out, and then the next quarter they need those again. And so, if they're ready to buy from you, you want to make that process as easy as possible. And so we really have done a couple things to make sure that there's not any hiccups in that process. One is simply adding a button to the customer's history of shopping that lets them click reorder, and boom, it adds everything to the cart again that they previously purchased. They can make some edits if they need to, but essentially if they don't, they can just click through 2 or 3 times and have their order placed. And then similarly, we have customers that want to do that reorder, but all they do is take an email, send it back through our customer service group and say reorder this, and then we handle it all for them. So we really don't want to make the process difficult for the customer to place orders with us. So having those reorder features is also a great way to make it as easy as possible for the customer to self-service and get that order placed a second time.
Now, Tony, what are you and the team at BookPal doing with regard to content and product information?
Yeah, I mean, on that front, thinking about our product lineup, as I mentioned, having literally a few 100,000 SKUs on the website and potentially 3 million titles available in the industry, product information can be very difficult to manage, not only from the standpoint of just the sheer quantity of data, but also there's very specific titles that have a number of different versions. So anybody that's familiar with Romeo and Juliet might have that traditional version that they read in school from Folgers, but they may not realize there's 120 other versions available on the market as well. And so from a customer standpoint, that can be very difficult for a school to identify which of those 120 is the appropriate version for their needs. We take it a step further by thinking, from a customer standpoint, what's that experience like? And so we've added a couple things to our site to help really make that process quick and easy. One is we've customized product descriptions to enable them to see why one version would fit their needs better than another. I think that's important in general just for SEO reasons, to highlight a book and how it fits into the market. But we've also added a very traditional consumer experience feature that's not really available much in the book space, which is product comparisons. So somebody finds 3 or 4 of those versions of Romeo and Juliet. They're not exactly sure which one to get. They can see each of them side by side and be able to map out why one version would fit their needs better than another. And both of those have been really positive in terms of driving sales.
So we've talked some about personalizing the shopping experience, about improving the convenience of B2B site through self-service features. Now I want to spend a little bit of time on improving customer service. And Jessica, I want to start with you. What are some of the things you're doing to improve customer service?
Well, we have 2 things that we're working on to provide better customer service. And the first one I would mention is related to account management. Because we're that hybrid and we sell some of those complex, high-cost medical devices, account management is really important to us in terms of keeping our sales and customer care team informed of online activity, what their customers are doing online. So we use a marketing automation system called SilverPop that has an integration with both Magento and our CRM, which is Salesforce, and that provides a well-rounded perspective for our customer-facing teams. For example, when someone comes to our website and fills out a web form, that information is passed to SilverPop, which then passes it to Salesforce. So anyone who goes into Salesforce and looks at that contact's record can see what the online visitor filled out on the web form, and they also can see any subsequent pages that person visited on our website. So this is really helpful information, as you can imagine, to our customer-facing teams, and SilverPop also has the ability to score leads and send them to the sales team based on online behaviors that the sales team determines qualifies as a lead. So that's one of the ways that we're working to, using our online tools to improve our account management in the company. The second thing that we are working on to provide better customer service is providing approval workflows, which we are currently doing through offering punch-out capabilities through an extension available with Magento called PO2Go. I'm not sure how familiar the audience is with punch-out, but essentially what it does is allows a customer to log in to our website through their procurement system, build an order, and instead of submitting that order through Magento, punch-out will transfer the order back into their procurement system so the order can flow through their the customer's workflows that they have. So not every customer has punch-out capabilities with their procurement system, and the next step we're looking at is creating a similar process for online customers who don't have punch-out. And but we've definitely heard from our customers, our top key accounts, that this is something that they are, interested in and wanting from a vendor.
Yeah, that's a big area of.
Sorry, Tony, go ahead.
I was just going to say, we as a business supplier, we do a lot with procurement sites like Ariba, and punch-out within that space is extremely popular as a requirement.
And so, Tony, in terms of your own focus and efforts to improve customer service, what have you done at BookPal?
Yeah, I mean, taking a step back and looking at the whole process, we recognize that in order to provide a really seamless experience to the customer, we not only needed to simplify our entire back-end order management process to enable our entire company to have visibility to orders and not necessarily have to go into just the admin panel for that data. We did a similar integration with Salesforce. We used an organization known as CloudGeno that had built a very sophisticated API that allows Magento data to be shared with Salesforce. And so on that implementation for us, we pull everything into Salesforce, all order data, customer data. It actually operates as a PIM for us, Product Information Manager, so we can see our entire catalog, pricing, rules, etc., within the Salesforce software application online. What that allows us to do is improve relationship management with the customers, because our account management team with one screen can see all of that customer's order history. We can do basic self-service within those screens to update Magento with small changes to the order, tracking, and all of the fulfillment side of the order process gets pushed back up into Magento to make that a smooth, clean, efficient piece of the equation. And so from a pure customer relationship management, it's really enhanced our ability to identify trends that customers are seeing or experiencing. So if we have a customer that orders every 2 months, the account management team knows to expect that sort of similar cadence, and when we don't experience that order 2 months later, they can get on the phone and find out if there's an issue that we can help them with, or identify other titles that may fit a new need that the customer has. So that really is a key component to the equation, is not just using Magento on its own, which is sophisticated for taking the order, but finding ways to enhance it through better relationship management and having that customer data available at a fingertip.
That's great. Well, Tony and Jessica, I want to thank you for your participation. And for the audience, I actually want to recap here the 10 ways that we've covered during the course of this conversation to improve a B2B shopping experience. We talked about personalizing the shopping experience through intuitive navigation and search, account personalization, tailored dynamic pricing, and product recommendations. We talked about convenient self-service features like quick order, bulk entry, intuitive reordering, and content and product information. And then we also talked about improving customer service through better account management, approval workflows, and relationship management. So Tony and Jessica, thank you for sharing your really outstanding expertise in this area. I think it was a very profitable session. Now, for our audience, I briefly want to take a minute and share with you just a little bit more about Magento. Many people think of Magento as the leading B2C e-commerce platform in the world, which it is. But I also want to emphasize our position in the B2B market landscape, where roughly 40% of Magento's customers are using B2B capabilities or using Magento for B2B shopping experience. In looking at Magento overall, we're, as I noted, #1 across the world on the Internet Retailer Top 500 list. And we have roughly 30% of the top e-commerce stores using our platform. As I mentioned, 30% of our merchants are using Magento for B2B. And finally, Forrester has cited Magento as a strong performer in B2B commerce in their latest Forrester Wave report. There are a number of reasons why Magento is the leading platform for B2C and B2B commerce. And these are the three primary reasons that our customers cite for choosing Magento. The first is flexibility. There is no platform that is more flexible than Magento in allowing merchants to create custom, engaging experiences that delight their end users. The second is speed. It's time to market, and this matters, that when you are trying to meet customer needs, you can't have a platform that's going to take you 18 months to get up and running. Magento is a market leader in terms of being able to set up sites quickly and efficiently. And finally, value, that we are the clear market leader in terms of total cost of ownership for among all e-commerce platforms. So with that, we want to take some time for Q&A, and I want to turn it back over to Don Davis.
Okay, well, thanks, Ben and Jessica and Tony. We do have a number of questions in the queue, but there's still time for you to ask your questions. Remember, everybody on the call will get an email in the next couple of days with instructions how to get copies of the slides. Okay, so let's start with the first question for you, Jessica. Have you been using IT to do all of your changes in Magento, or have you been able to do it yourself?
We outsource our development with a consulting company called Alpine Consulting, and they have, so we manage the projects from a user requirement standpoint, and we identify and scope all the work, and then they actually do the build. And they are Magento, specialized in Magento, and they understand Magento really well, and I would definitely recommend people find partners, that are knowledgeable and have worked in Magento before if they're looking to find someone to do these types of customizations.
Okay. Tony, anything to add on that?
No, I completely agree. You do need to find an expert partner if you don't have internally Magento certified developers, just to really allow you to extend it to the fullest extent possible. We developed our website with Gorilla out of Chicago, and they've provided some great services over the last couple of years to provide ongoing maintenance and development work to enhance the site once it was launched.
Okay, here's another question for you, Jessica. Is your customers' negotiated pricing all algorithmic, for example, a certain percentage off all items, or do customers have ad hoc negotiated prices for every item in the catalog?
Our customers have a blend of prices, so some of them have the algorithmic, 10% off everything in the catalog, and then others we have to get more competitive with, and they will have specific customized pricing on a specific set of SKUs based on the volume, and they want shipping discounts or something like that. So we have a blend of both to answer your question, and we have people internally that are dedicated. We have a contract sales department that manages those prices as far as negotiating those prices.
Okay, a question for you, Tony. Can you expand on the product information management tool that you're using?
Yeah, so it's actually a Force.com build on the Salesforce platform. The partner organization that we used is a company, I believe they're out of Utah, called Cloudgento. One word, C-L-O-U-D, Gento. But essentially what that allows us to do is sync up bidirectionally between Magento and Salesforce all of our product SKUs and product related information, including what's great on the Salesforce side is because of its extensibility and customization options, we were able to build essentially a price book. So we're similarly confusing in the way that our pricing works, that there's various types of books that have different discounting and then different customer groups that have different discounting, and so we're able to build a price book rule that then layers in all of the tiered pricing and then pushes that back up into Magento, and that's worked really well for us.
Okay, a related question for you, Jessica. What is the tool you use to connect Magento and Salesforce?
Right now we're using it's our marketing automation, which is called SilverPop. And so SilverPop is our marketing database, and it collects information from Magento, and it has information from Salesforce in there, and then it also passes information back to those platforms as well. So that is sort of information travels from Magento into SilverPop and then into Salesforce.
Okay. Well, here's a general question I think probably all of our panelists have some thoughts on. What is the best way to reach B2B customers? Would you like to start on that, Jessica?
Sure. The way that, School Health has been around for almost 60 years, and we are involved with, first of all, the trade associations, so, National Association of School Nurses, the National Athletic Training Association, so we get very involved with the trade associations and sponsorships. We sponsor radio shows, we sponsor awards for the School Nurse Leadership Award or the Most Valuable Athletic Training Award. We also host our own webinars, educational webinars for these individuals to make their job easier, just like you're attending, this one to make, your job easier. So we found that to be really effective. They respond really well to email, is what we have found, that email is a strong marketing channel for us. And then slowly, social media has been growing and growing, and we've been able to hook up with a lot of the industry, thought leaders in those markets, and finding ways to spread messaging, through those industry thought leaders on social media.
Okay. Tony, what's your thoughts?
Google. One-word answer. At the end of the day, a large percentage of our customer base do research online, and so without question, it's important to have a strategic advertising campaign. And what we've seen, though, is the simple AdWords campaigns that we ran in the past now need to be extended into more sophisticated initiatives like remarketing, where we're identifying the products that people are viewing on our website and essentially serving those products as image ads as they browse around the web. That's certainly a key component of our initiative, as well as the pretty straightforward product listing ads that Google provides. But in addition, we have a team of salespeople that sort of go the old school route of reaching out to client organizations and targeting them with a sales message. Of course, we do email and stuff as well, but without question, if the low-hanging fruit is really optimizing the Google and AdWords initiatives to, at a minimum, get in front of those customers during their research and buying process.
What about social media? Do you find any social networks helpful?
Yeah, I mean, we absolutely do, and I think you know, we have built quite a few followers. I think we're approaching 30,000 followers on Facebook, and so we do embrace that side of the internet for reaching our customers. But we've found that school customers are tremendously more engageable in a social media environment than corporate, and so you know, it's sort of one of those doesn't work for everyone models where we really have to identify the form, the channel, and then see which parts of our business stick within that framework. And so, you know, for Facebook, it's primarily geared towards teachers, and then we do more for the professional side on LinkedIn. And so, you know, it's about identifying where your customers are at, and then providing them content and messaging that's appropriate.
And Ben, do you have any thoughts on how to reach B2B customers?
Well, Jessica and Tony have mentioned a number that we see, that certainly a lot of focus on industry trade events is a big one that we see from our clients, but also some of the marketing approaches that work well in the B2C space also are becoming increasingly effective with B2B companies, one of which comes to mind that is an area to think about is affiliate marketing. That's one that can be very effective in this area that some of our clients are using.
Can you give an example of that?
It may be one to follow up with after the webinar and our questions, but and our responses to some of the questions. But yeah, we can try to provide some examples of clients who are using that.
Well, we are about clients, but more of like a general. I mean, affiliate marketing. If you're selling sporting goods, and you know, you might advertise on a tennis enthusiast site or a golf blog. I'm just trying to figure out what would be equivalent in the B2B world. Okay,
yeah,
we can follow up with that later.
Let me follow up with that.
Okay.
We do a little bit of affiliate marketing at School Health, and we have partnerships with nonprofits that we distribute their product for them, because they don't have that distribution network like we do. So then they refer visitors over to us and then get a commission based off of when we sell their product.
Right. Okay, question for both Jessica and Tony. Do either of you offer promotions and coupons, and if so, how are they handled? Customer specific or for any customer? Tony, you want to start on that one?
Yeah, it's interesting. This is something that our marketing departments worked really hard on analyzing over the last year, and the finding was that some of the discounting that we historically provided wasn't necessary to convert customers at the levels that we were providing it. So it used to be that we would offer 5% off coupons that for larger orders was resulting in a $500 discount. We've switched that about 6 months ago to restrict those 5% off coupons for very specific and once a year type campaigns, and instead we're doing more flat rate discounts of $20 off, $50 off, and we're actually finding that conversion rates have actually increased even though the discounting is lower. So it's definitely something that any organization needs to A/B test and evaluate, because I think our assumption was that the higher discounting would have a better impact on sales, and in fact the opposite was true. We do campaigns through our email initiatives that target business customers and school customers differently, but discounting tends to be fairly similar in terms of the campaign offering. It's just the messaging slightly skewed towards one segment versus another.
Okay. Jessica, how are you handling that?
It's interesting. We have seen similar results to Tony, where the coupons that get redeemed most often are a fixed dollar amount versus the % off coupons, and so we've had a similar experience. over here at School Health. But one thing I would add on to that too is it does get a little bit complex because we have the contract customers in play online. So we have to make sure that we have built ways to exclude our contract customers from some of our promotional offerings because they can't take advantage of it because they already have this contract in place, right? So we've had to be aware of that and then build some rules and logic around who can see, certain banners and who can't.
Mm-hmm. Ben, have you seen anything in terms of how other B2B clients are handling promotions and coupons?
Outside of the use cases that were just mentioned, nothing I would add specifically.
Okay. So question again for both Jessica and Tony. How many people do you have on your internal e-commerce and digital marketing teams? And can you briefly explain what their roles are? Jessica, you want to start on that?
Sure. We have a very basic team. It's myself, and then I have 2 direct reports and an admin that's part-time. And then we have our team, our development team that is Alpine out of Chicago too, or Schaumburg, Illinois, that does all the development work. And then we have, on the marketing end, we have some graphic designers and marketing manager and product managers that help develop, content and, keep track of the product data and things like that. And so my direct reports, I have one that's a digital marketing specialist, and the other one is a website designer / technical project manager. And her and I work all the development projects together.
On our side, we have a marketing department with a manager and 3 direct reports that handle all of our e-commerce and digital marketing initiatives with support from W Promote out of El Segundo in California. They handle creative design of our email campaigns as well as some of the AdWords management. So it's sort of a combination of our internal and external resources to get that job accomplished.
Okay, now we have the inevitable Amazon question. For both Jessica and Tony, do you see Amazon as an emerging threat or an option for your B2B customers? And if so, how do you plan to keep your clients buying from you online rather than Amazon?
Well, without question, you can't ignore them. That would be foolish. But if you look back historically over the last 10 years, we've grown substantially as a business despite their existence. And I think that really has to do more with not servicing the exact same customer groups with the I guess attention that we do. So consumers are really Amazon's core target. That is shifting, and we're watching that. Amazon obviously recently launched its Amazon Business Initiative. If you differentiate though on a product level basis, we have easy to access account management and product specialists that are available to support customers. We offer the tiered discounting and that provides substantial savings over Amazon's model. Amazon as a business brings its inventory into one of its few dozen warehouses. We are able to ship direct to the customer. So, we've heard some interesting stories, and we've certainly experienced it with our own tests where, an order for 100 units of a book can result in 20 different shipments where individual warehouses are pulling a single copy because that's all they have. So from just a customer service experience, that can be quite terrible. So, they do have some hurdles to directly compete on that front, but you can't be foolish and ignore them either. They're doing some amazing things. So I guess if Jeff is listening, we're for sale, and let's talk. But.
Jessica?
I would, echo what Tony is saying, that we are keeping a very close eye on Amazon and finding all those ways to differentiate ourselves from what they are doing. And the fact that we are on the approved vendor list for almost every school district in the country works in our favor, because school districts and businesses do business a little bit differently than consumers. So right now we have that experience and that upper hand, and then we're, like Tony said, we need to keep a really close eye on how that unfolds.
Okay, here's a question for you, Jessica. How do you get around the speed issue when it comes to custom pricing? Dave, who asked the question, says we had to load up millions of special prices, and they slow down our Magento Enterprise system. So have you had a similar problem?
We did have some speed issues, and we brought in a consultant who optimized our environment, and I cannot list all the things that happened, I guess, on this phone call, but I would be happy to provide something, after the call. But essentially, we had an expert come in and help us with that.
Okay. There's a lot of talk about mobile optimized sites for consumers. Wondering what the two of you, Jessica and Tony, have done in terms of making it convenient for your customers to order from mobile devices. Tony, you want to start on that?
Sure. Yeah, I think it's an interesting problem as a business leader. All of these questions, of making that investment have to come down to the ROI. What is the lift going to be to having mobile friendly, and when's that going to be paid back? For us, trending up until just recently, less than 20% of our viewers or visitors were on a smartphone device. We're starting to see that continue to uptick, and obviously with the hundreds of millions of tablets and smartphones available or out there on the market, it's something that we're watching closely. But at this point, what we're taking is a step-by-step approach. So an initiative that we're starting soon is to make our AdWords landing pages mobile friendly. Then we're going to be working on some category pages, but that'll be a process of sort of mobile friendly in the site over a period of the next 12 months, rather than making a significant investment in a either app style approach or responsive style approach. We're going to be rolling it out, and part of the benefit of doing it that way for us is we're able to test what kind of lift we're seeing as we make these tweaks to the various pages of the site. And so it is something that we sort of watched over time, but now that it's sort of hit a critical mass, we're starting to make that investment.
Jessica? Jessica, are you on mute? We may have lost Jessica, but we're at the top of the hour anyway, so we do have a couple more questions in the queue. We'll answer them offline. I do want to thank Jessica Wetzel from School Health and Tony DiCostanzo from BookPal and Ben Presley from Magento for their contributions, and thank you all for attending and for your questions. So that wraps it up. I hope it was useful. Have a great day.